Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is lesson 8 of Qur'an Girl Tajweed. Moving on, we are now going into madud. Now, there is madud, which is the length which you lengthen the sum of the letters as per the rules, which depends on where you find it and how long you're supposed to lengthen it. However, there's also speeds of recitation. So first I'd like to go over speeds of recitation, and there are 3 different speeds of recitation. If you listen to different reciters, you have ones that do Hadr, which is like Sudais. Hadr is where you go faster, or you could have Tadweer, which is like Husari, or you can have Tahqeeq, which is the slowest recitation, like reciters like Abdul Basit, Abdul Samad. Now, all those 3 are correct, and in each one of the recitations, they follow the rules of madud. However, if they go faster, the length of the madud is not determined by seconds per se. It's determined by length. So, if you're going faster, then your lengths are going to get shorter because you're going faster. If you're going slower, you're able to pull longer lengths. But every length that is pulled has a predetermined width that it can go, wavelength, okay? It can only go a certain amount. So it can only go like times 2 or times 4 or times 6. That doesn't mean 2, 4, or 6 seconds. It means that's how much of a length that you want to pull it. So depending on your recitation, if you're going really fast, you're going to have a faster, a quicker wavelength, right? So it's going to be shorter. And if you're going to recite it slower, then you're going to have a longer wavelength. So it's going to be longer. So that is one thing about recitation, which you cannot confuse with madud, because the rules of madud would still apply. Now, for madud, there are 2 different categories, which is the easiest way to describe it. There is mad asli and mad far'i, right? Mad asli is what we're going to focus on today. That is called the original mad. What is that? Well, there's different categories. The first one is called mad tabi'i, right? Mad tabi'i. And that means the original mad. Original mad is found in words like qalu. Qalu, it's the qaf with the alif after it. Any of the mad letters, right? What are mad letters? Let's review this first. So mad letters is if you have a fatha before an alif, a dhamma before a waw, or a kasra before a ya. That gives you a mad sound, right? A, u, or e. Now all of those are the mad tabi'i, right? And if you want to, these are called the mad letters. Now remember, if you have a fatha before the waw or a fatha before the ya, like o or a, then they are not called mad letters, they're called lean. So this is an important distinction that you need to remember. So for these mad letters, a, u, and e, like in qalu or qulu, right? Not in words like qawlu, because remember qawlu is lean. So those other ones, like qalu or kunu, those are examples of mad tabi'i. They are pulled original length. It's like natural to be pulled, and the natural pull is times 2. So that is the first type of mad asli. The second type of mad asli is called mad badal. Mad badal means if you see a hamza before any of the mad letters, the a, u, or e, then you are going to change the sound to where you're going to pull it, with the length of 2. So mad is where the opposite of mad is qasr. Qasr means to shorten, right? So let me give you an example of mad badal. That would be like Adam, Adam, right? It's written with a hamza, and then there's an alif after it, Adam. So instead of saying Adam, Adam, right? You're going to say Adam. It's like you're pulling twice, Adam. So whenever you have a hamza before a mad letter, you are going to pull. Let's see if I have any more examples of this. How about let us see. Right, I thought I had more examples. Probably have them here somewhere. I have, yes. How about Qur'an? Qur'an, right? A hamza before the alif. Qur'an. You can hear that natural mad sound in there. So because of the hamza before the alif, it becomes pulled twice. Qur'an or utiya. In this case, the hamza is before the waw, right? So it's utiya. Again, pulled twice. So it's part of the original pull twice mad, which is falling under mad asli, right? So this is one of the mad asli. Or aminu, aminu, or adama, right? So these are all examples of mad badal because you have a hamza before the mad letter. Now, the next one that we have is called mad iwad. Mad iwad means replaced mad. The reason it's called replaced is because if you have a word that ends in tanween with a mad alif after it, a tanween with a mad alif, right? Then when you stop on that word, like let's say kitaban, right, is the word. So if you stop on that word while you're reciting, you stop because it's the end of a sentence, or you stop because you need to take a breath, you're going to say kitaba, kitaba. See how you pull it? Instead of saying kitaban, you say kitaba. It's like you just do the multiplied by 2, the original mad, the natural mad, right? So you are going to do that anytime you have a word that ends with a tanween fatha, and you're going to when you stop on that word, you're going to lengthen it twice. So kitaba is one example, and also an example would be like ma'an would become ma'a, or kiraman would become kirama, or aliman would become alima. Alright, so that is the example. The next type of mad asli or mad tabi'i is the mad, let's see, the very next one is the mad sila, right? Mad sila. Now mad sila, there's two types of silas. There's sila sughra and sila kubra. The one that falls under the category of mad asli or mad tabi'i, which is the multiplied by 2, the natural sounding mad, is sila sughra. Now, a sila is a connector, right? It's called a connecting mad. It's called a connecting mad. Sila sughra has to have 3 requirements. First, it is a word that is in the third person male form, right? Third person male. The second requirement for sila sughra, or for sila, for any sila, is that it has to have either a fatha or a dhamma on it. Fatha or dhamma on the ha, right? Because it's in third person male form, it's going to have a ha at the end, and so it's got to have a fatha or a dhamma on the ha. The third requirement is that the letter before or after has to have a vowel too, right? Letter before or after. So, for example, you have وأمه وأبي. وأمه وأبي. The way you pronounce this is وأمه وأبي. وأمه وأبي. You don't say وأمه وأبي. You say وأمه وأبي. The reason you pull on أمه with times 2 is because this is a Sila Sughra. In the Qur'an, in the Osmani script, you're going to see it denoted with a small tiny ya underneath, and it's just going to be a plain ya. If it was a Sila Kubra, which we'll go into tomorrow, then that is going to have the ya with a mad on it, the tiny underneath. But Sila Sughra, for now, all you need to know is that it has to fulfill those 3 rules. The third person, male, and the ha has to have a fatha or dhamma, and the letter before or after it has to have a fatha or dhamma too. And that it's denoted with the tiny mad symbol. It can be a ya or a wow, and it's going to have it underneath, right there as a connector to the next word. Wa ummihi, and then there's a ya underneath. Wa abi. So you know that you're supposed to pull it twice. Right? And it's a Sila Sughra. It's a Sila Sughra because the letter after it, in this example I gave you, wa ummihi wa abi, the next letter after he is a wow. Alright? That's why it's a Sila Sughra. We are going to call it a Sila Kubra if it has a hamza after it. And that's going to transition us into tomorrow's rules, where we are going to have the mad far'i. And mad far'i is going to be divided into 2 more categories, right? Today we were just saying that of all the madud, there are 2 main branches. One is mad Asli and one is mad far'i. So we did all the mad Asli today: mad Tabi'i, mad Sila Sughra, mad Badal, and mad Iwadh, right? And tomorrow we're going to start with mad far'i. Mad far'i. And that mad far'i is going to be divided into 2 categories as well, when a hamza follows and when sukun follows. So inshallah we will do that tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.